Hello, North American Whatnuts. It is Thursday, March 27th in Canada and the United States, and this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code WhatChaos. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game live from Oilersnation Studios in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, US. I kid. Pete would make that joke. My name is David Bean. I sit beside Pete Blackburn, and across the room is Sean DePaz. Welcome to Canada, Pete.
Hey, welcome to Canada, David. Welcome back to Canada, David. Welcome to Canada, Sean DePaz.
Thank you. I don't know who to welcome to Canada now because you're already welcome, DJ.
Is this everyone's first time in Canada?
No, it is my first time in Edmonton, Alberta.
It's my first time west of like St. Catharines, Ontario, but this is like my 30th time in Canada, probably.
We picked a hell of a time to come to Edmonton because Connor out, Leon maybe out, and snowstorm. It is snowing like the demon outside.
I like
the
it.
Demon.
I wouldn't want my Edmonton experience to be any other way.
Yeah, when I came in June, people were like, "Oh well, this isn't real. You're skewed by it's the Cup final and it's nice out. Come another time of year. Cool. I've come another time of year." Edmonton, grade A. I fucking love this town.
It's not windy or anything. It's not like crazy cold. It's just snowing like crazy.
I had a breakfast this morning, and basically my first Albertonian,
Yes.
Edmontonian interaction was me eavesdropping on the guy next to me at breakfast talking about how he killed 20 to 30 elk who were blocking a road, and then he cut all their heads off. So shout out Western Canada.
And he saw you eavesdropping, and then he turned and he was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" Your next sentence.
No, it sounded more like a municipal thing, more than like a murderous rampage.
Just taking care of a problem.
Yes, it
I
was.
guess you could say
It
that
was
for murder
all
rampage.
above board.
Yes.
It was authorized.
Pete, why don't you tell the folks on the show today?
I would love to do that. We're going to talk about John Tortorella because John Tortorella is out. He is out of the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. He was fired by himself.
Maybe.
Because he had some crazy-ass comments earlier this week. We talked about him yesterday. We'll talk about the whole Torts situation. We're going to be joined by Charlie O'Connor from PHLY. PHLY, sorry.
You gotta take an L.
Okay, that's fair. PHLY, Charlie O'Connor is going to join us. Going to talk about Torts, going to talk about where the Flyers go from here. We're also going to talk about today and Jakob Chychrun because Jakob Chychrun can't stay out of the news.
No.
The Chychrun lifestyle is captivating everybody. Basically, you got Ashton Hall and Jakob Chychrun just setting the tone for how to live your life. And finally, Tank So Good. We hit the Tankathon this morning. Boston Bruins getting Michael Misa at the number one spot.
Is Ashton Hall the man with the Saratoga Springs water?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you made that reference because I was thinking the same thing. You got one guy who is hammering water and another guy who could probably tell you why water is bad for you.
Yeah. Oh man,
There's no
I want
protein in
to
water.
get Jakob Chychrun on the show for a million different reasons now, but one of them being like we would absolutely have to ask him what he thinks about Ashton Hall.
Yeah, I think that he would be like that. I can see how that's all lit. It's not good.
Yeah, it's the well-lit video. I wouldn't support it.
Though when he says thank you to the man off screen who's handing him a towel, he could have been eating protein instead.
You know what's shocking is I have not seen a single meme about Jakob Chychrun with the Donald Trump turn those lights off.
Oh, true. Yeah, all of our lovely memers, maybe you get on that. But that little first note and the brunt of the show is going to be Tortorella because what he did was unbelievable. Never really seen anything like it. But we are in Edmonton. Can we get a travel grade?
Travel grade A. We don't do A pluses. It was an A. We were a little bit worried. We flew on a prop plane. It was not a real plane. It was just a prop.
Yes.
Not like Dunkirk. The ships were real. We flew on a prop plane to Ottawa, which we were a little bit worried. We're anxious flying boys. We were like, oh, do we want to get on this tiny little fake ass plane with props to go to Ottawa? It was totally fine.
It was not. It was getting on the plane though made it way worse.
Yeah, because you're like pretty low to the ground. It was like a low riding plane.
I couldn't stand up all the way in the plane, and you could see the landing gear and the propellers outside of our window.
Seat comfort grade A minus for sure.
Yeah, like the plane didn't have shock absorbers.
No,
you could feel the only bad thing. And I'm kind of spoiling it, but that flight was perfect.
Yeah, it was really good,
completely pleasant. But the only thing was, and it just took a second of getting used to, like you could kind of feel the plane.
Yeah.
You could just it was just a small little plane. Like you could feel it in your seat. It had, what do they have at the movie theaters? Like the butt kickers?
The ass kickers. Yeah. Whatever they're called.
They had natural butt kickers.
Yeah. You could feel the throttle. Like you could feel whatever the pilot was doing up there in the cockpit. You could feel it.
But that flight was easy, and then I thought, okay, well then I didn't do Klonopin for this one. I'll do Klonopin for the second flight because that's where they're going to get you. That's the one that we would think would be easy and smooth, and that one's going to be treacherous. I ended up holding off my drug intake and that flight, and now we're tempting fate on the flight.
I know, I hate this conversation.
Was so smooth, shout out Porter.
Yes,
they know what they're doing.
Shout
in the
out
sky.
Porter.
Free drinks,
free alcohol,
and Porter
flights. A
glass
of red wine on the way from Ottawa to Edmonton,
and a nice little Moosehead lager. It was beautiful.
It was nice.
Also, layover grade A because we got to it was an A minus, but it was a high grade A minus because I got accosted at the airport for a reason that I'm still unaware of. But then we saw like an Ottawa Senators airport stop, and I bought this cool ass hat. Doing a Pro Shop Wars, buying team merch at your 45-minute layover could be the move.
Amazing. I had a layover in Miami one time, and they had a Miami Heat team store. So when I saw the table of Sens stuff, I was like, please have a Senators team store here. They didn't, but all this man needs is a table. All this man needs is a table with a few shirts, a few sweatshirts. The sweatshirts were very nice. The hats were very nice. You did get kind of fucked because you paid U.S. prices.
Yeah, well, you kind of fucked me. I said, oh, man, this hat's like $48. And you said, brother, that's Canadian. We're in Canada. You'll be fine. I checked out. It was like $74. And I was like, okay. This was not Canadian pricing.
That's how they get you. But you know what? You're going to make it all back because today we tape Pro Shop Wars Edmonton.
That's true.
I don't know if any of us are we've been moving so fast. I still have no idea what I'm going to do in there. All I know is I don't think they have carts. But legitimately, when we walked in, if they were like, would you like a cart? I would say absolutely give us a cart.
I mean,
one of those like pallet things.
Oh,
the people of Edmonton have been very kind. There's been a bunch of people in our DMs like offering help and rides and stuff like that. We should just have merch holders.
Can you just get us a shopping cart?
No, just have someone they can be the shopping cart. You can just hand it to them. They'll hold it for you.
Oh, it's Ashton.
Yes.
Yeah.
An Ashton Hall move.
I don't know what I've been like dancing around what to call the second person in Ashton Hall's video.
Dance yesterday.
I referred to the woman as a slave yesterday, and
was it a woman?
It's a woman.
Okay, I was gonna say because I would just call if it was somebody that was assisting with something, just the boy.
I mean, is it problematic to call the woman the boy? He treats her like the boy.
No, it just all depends. I mean, gender is fluid and, quite frankly, a construct. I believe we have our guest for our big conversation, but we'll start it off by just setting it up before we get to Charlie O'Connor. John Tortorella successfully fired himself because we saw the clip after the loss to the Leafs in which he was like, I'll be honest, this is not, I'm not comfortable or interested in doing this. And we discussed it yesterday on the show. I liked the honesty. We both agreed, though, you can't do that. And it turns out you can if you're cool with getting fired.
Which, like, based off the energy behind the quotes and the energy of John Tortorella in general, like, seemed like he might have been cool getting fired from the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, and what it leads us to, and Charlie will factor into this conversation, is what's his move? And I think that at this time in his life, he's like, maybe I don't need a move. I'm not going to retire, but I can take a beat for, like, I am a household name. I am a celebrity. I can have TV gigs. If I want to keep coaching, I could definitely coach in some capacity. Here's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
I started off a 7-game homestand, and that began a stretch of 11 losses in 12 games, something like that.
Yeah.
This ain't it, Chief. So I'm going to do what I always do, which is wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm going to try to be respectful, but mista, get me the ass out of here.
Yeah, and before we bring on Charlie, like, just a rundown of kind of where the Flyers are right now. They've lost 6 in a row. They've lost 11 out of their last 12. They have the lowest points percentage in the Eastern Conference, even lower than the Buffalo Sabres. They have one more point than Buffalo in the standings, but with 2 more games played. Torts has 1 year, had 1 more year remaining on his contract, around $4 million. Brad Shaw named the interim head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers in the meantime. So that's kind of like the bullet points here of this situation. So do you want to bring in our friend Charlie?
Let's bring on Charlie O'Connor, one of the great voices in hockey and certainly the preeminent voice on all things Philadelphia Flyers. Charlie from PHLY, how are you, my friend? You busy today?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you guys.
No. Hello. No.
1 sec.
Can you just listen?
Yeah.
Are you not paying attention? Just pay attention when we're talking.
Open those ears.
Yeah.
Clean them out.
Clean them out. Yeah. Skill issue?
All right, I think I can hear you guys now.
You got
Amazing.
us, dear friend Chuck?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, we sang your praises, and we reported, this is going to be a surprise to you, that John Tortorella has been fired. Pete said yesterday on the show, he was like, I hadn't considered the John Tortorella getting fired angle at all in Philadelphia. You're watching this team every day and covering them as they are sucking balls, so to speak. So were you considering it before those comments, or did this all happen really quickly?
Well, I think it was a very legitimate possibility they were going to move on from him at the end of the season. I was still probably leaning towards them keeping him. I think they may have been leaning towards keeping him too. But it was definitely a possibility that they were going to evaluate at the end of the season that they needed a new person at the top. The players were, for quite a while, players did not love playing under John Tortorella. I know that will come as a shock to you.
Massive bombshell.
But they were still playing hard. Really as recently as last week. You know, they lost 3 games last week, but they played Tampa Bay, Washington, and Dallas really tough. They took Dallas to overtime. They were playing solid hockey. They just didn't have the horses to score against really good teams. I do think that the start of this week, they lose 7-4 to the Blackhawks, the second worst team in the league. They lose 7-2 to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the center of the hockey world. And then the comments that John Tortorella made. Now, I was there. I was the one who asked the question that got Tortorella to go down that rabbit hole.
So it's your fault.
It's all my fault, actually.
You blew it up, Nikita Zadorov.
There we go. I, in the moment, didn't take them as badly as I think social media did, because to me, it played more that Tortorella was trying to kind of fall on the sword for his guys and basically say, this is on me. I need to do a better job, the way coaches do a lot. And he worded it very poorly. So I didn't take it the way a lot of people did, which was, I'm not interested in learning how to coach this team, and I'm not interested in learning how to coach a bad team. What I have to believe, though, is that in the wake of those comments, Tortorella had lots of conversations internally with general manager Danny Briere, with president of hockey operations Keith Jones, even with the chairman of the ownership group of Comcast Spectacor, Dan Hilferty, about this concept of, does he really want to be coaching a team that is going nowhere? I have to believe that after those discussions, that either John Tortorella came to the conclusion that he really doesn't want to do this, or the people above him came to the conclusion that they don't want him doing this anymore, because even if he's willing to try, they just don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, is like, I want to find out what's happened in the last 24 hours, because if like you said, if his words were just kind of clumsy and he didn't mean it the way that they came out in the terms of a direct quote, they would give him the opportunity to clarify those. And seemingly there was no intentions of doing that based off of the firing. So where do the Flyers go from here?
It's a fascinating question, and I really don't know. In the short term, they moved Bradshaw, who has done a really good job as assistant coach. He runs the defense, runs the penalty kill. They moved him up to interim head coach. So that's what's going to happen in the short term. The long term, though, very good question, because they built this organization really on the idea of a three-man triumvirate of leadership, of John Tortorella as head coach, Keith Jones as president of hockey operations, Daniel Briere as general manager. John Tortorella predated both of those guys. He was the head coach starting in 2022. They brought in, Briere was in the organization, but he was kind of an advisor to the general manager. He didn't take over the GM job until 2023. Jones wasn't hired until 2023. And part of the reason why those guys were picked was because they wanted to keep John Tortorella. Dan Hilferty loved John Tortorella, and he felt like Briere was a good fit. He'd be able to work with Tortorella, and Jones wasn't going to come in and say, I need a new coach. I'm willing to take on John Tortorella as part of this job, because they thought that those three would work well together. Well, now one of the three's gone. So I don't know what the leadership structure is going to look like with John Tortorella gone, because the entire leadership structure was created operating under the assumption that John Tortorella was going to be part of the leadership structure. So now they have to kind of, I don't think they're going to fire Briere or Jones, to be clear, but they have to kind of start from scratch in terms of how they want this to look, because they built this with John Tortorella in mind.
An important clarification to make in case anybody is confused. The interim coach's name is Brad, and his last name is Shaw. So every time we say Bradshaw, we are not just like, he's not one of our buddies. It's a tough name, says the guy named DJ Bean. Does John Tortorella still have his fastball? Because last season was very interesting. They were in the playoff picture and even top three in the Metro at the beginning of every month. And then they start to fall, and boy, oh boy, when they fell, did they crater. And then you have this season. So does he still have his fastball? We're going to get into where he could potentially fit, and it's a short list. But if you were a team that could use a John Tortorella type, would you want this version of John Tortorella right now?
Well, it's a really good question, because in a sense, I think he does still have his fastball, but his fastball also comes with the fact that once in a while he's going to hit a guy in the head and load the bases with hit batsmen. Like, he has his fastball. Like, the Flyers are a pretty good 5-on-5 team given the talent that they have on hand. They drive play. They control the scoring chance battle. The big reason why this team has been poor this year has been the goaltending. It's been the worst in the league, and it's dragged everything down. Also, they made big trades in the lead up to the deadline, trading away guys who were very popular in the room, and in the case of Scott Lawton, like the leader of the room. And I don't think the room has fully grasped how to handle that yet. So that's played a role in this part of the collapse. So I don't think it's all Tortorella's fault that the team is bad. However, it is part and parcel of the John Tortorella experience that he's going to rub a lot of guys the wrong way. And you have to, if you're looking to hire him, you have to sign up for the John Tortorella experience in full. You have to sign up for the fact that there's going to be some guys that he's going to decide just don't got it and is not going to play them and is going to put them in his doghouse, is going to scratch them, is going to bench them. You have to sign up for the fact that 3 or 4 times of the year, he's going to go up to the podium and say something absolutely bonkers that you're going to have to spend the next week dealing with the fallout from. You're going to have to deal with the fact that he's going to want power. He's going to want some degree of control over the roster. So does he have his fastball in the sense that he can coach a good system and that he can get a lot out of underwhelming rosters? Yeah, he does. But you also have to be willing to sign up for everything else that comes with John Tortorella.
Isn't that the full Tortorella experience?
Yeah,
like that's the story of everywhere he's been. And before we move on to like where he might go next, if he wants to continue coaching, I did want to ask, like, what's going to be the prevailing sentiment about the Tortorella era in Philadelphia? Because he was hired to lead them out of this rebuild. And the Flyers statement that they put out with the announcement of the firing was a lot about him restoring the culture of Philly and the Flyers. And we've talked about a bunch about that over the last couple of years, where like the Flyers finally kind of had their swagger back in terms of being a proud, no nonsense organization. And a lot of that does come back towards his fingerprints. But at the end of the day, he was hired to lead them out of the rebuild, and that never happened. So what's going to be the prevailing view on the Torts era in Philly?
I feel like a lot of that's going to come down to what happens over the next couple of years. Now, if the Flyers over the next 2-3 seasons develop into being a contender, I think his tenure will be looked at positively by most, because it'll be that, he did set the foundation. He got these guys, playing tougher hockey. He toughened them up, and then they were able to use that as a springboard to become a contender. Now, if the whole thing falls apart and this ends with, in a year, Danny Briere gets fired because the team is bad again, and they have to restructure the front office again after doing so just 2 years ago in 2023, then I think it's going to be looked at as a failure and a total waste of time, because you hired this guy to improve the culture, and then as soon as he leaves, the culture completely torpedoes. So right now it's unclear, because so much of this is going to depend upon whether he's viewed as like the precursor to when things got good, or if he's viewed as he's the reason why the Briere rebuild didn't work.
A bright spot for the Flyers this year is that they got a 20-goal season out of Matvei Michkov as a rookie. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade John Tortorella's job of shepherding Matvei Michkov?
I don't think he did as bad of a job as a lot of fans do, because I do think that Michkov has improved, not leaps and bounds, and he's never going to be a two-way guy. He's never going to be a Mark Stone style winger. But he is showing a bit more commitment to not just cherry picking on every play and doing things that will allow him to not just be a offense only guy. And I think he will benefit from that in the long term, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. That said, Tortorella's done a lot of things that have really ticked off fans. He's not playing Michkov nearly as much as the other guys in the Calder race are getting played. He's gotten scratched. He's gotten benched. Tortorella has not been as, I guess the best way to put it is, he hasn't pumped Michkov's tires as much as the coaches of the other guys have. Again, a lot of this is going to depend upon what happens with Michkov. If Michkov becomes a superstar, and I think there's a very good chance he will, maybe 5-6 years down the line, Michkov's going to get interviewed and he's going to say, yeah, I really benefited from that first tough year with John Tortorella. If Michkov goes the way of Nail Yakupov, then maybe people will say that he was ruined by John Tortorella. So it's so hard to talk about this now, because so much of how he's going to be viewed is going to be dependent upon how things play out 2-3 years down the line. Right now, he's gone. And his tenure, I guess, in the here and now was a failure because he didn't take the team back to the playoffs, but I never really viewed him as the guy who was going to take them back to the playoffs. I always thought he was going to be kind of the bridge guy, but you can't evaluate the bridge until you see where the bridge leads to, if that makes sense.
Well, now it's time to turn on the carousel. Do you think that Torts coaches again? He's about to turn 67 years old. And if so, what is the mold of a team that John Tortorella would fit behind the bench on? Because it seems pretty clear at this point he does not want to coach a rebuilding team.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. When John Tortorella first took the job in 2022, we as in the media were allowed to go down to the locker room and meet with him kind of sort of off the record. And Tortorella, during that meeting with us, said that this is going to be his last head coaching stop. Philadelphia will be his last head coaching stop. Hilariously enough, a beat writer who no longer is a full-time beat writer for the Flyers actually tweeted that out. So again, This was supposed to be like an off the record thing, and then he tweets it out. It's
Kevin
like, okay,
Hayes' fingerprints all over it.
I guess it's no longer. I guess it's no longer off the record, really. But that was said by John Tortorella in 2022 that this was going to be his last stop. Now he's a head coach. Maybe he just will have the itch and be like, "No, I don't want this to be my last stop. I want to show that I still got it, and that Philly was an awkward ending, and I want to do it again." That's very possible. I can't predict the future. If he's going to go somewhere else, though, I think it's got to be to a team that has the talent, but needs a hard ass to kind of get the talent to start playing up to their ability. Buffalo being like an obvious choice. Boston.
There you go.
Sean, chime in, brother.
I don't think people can see the sign if you want to read it.
The sign that is behind us says step 1, Lindy. Step 2, Torts. Step 3, question marks. Step 4, profit, baby. That is the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, it's 100% the Buffalo. Like I heard some people say the Bruins. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think the Bruins have that much talent anymore.
Yeah, where's
rebuilding
the talent?
team. I just said he does not have an interest in coaching a rebuilding team.
Yeah, but the Sabres, on the other hand, they got talent. They just seem like they have no culture. That would be a fit. Now, whether he wants to do it or not, I don't know. But if he's gonna coach, I don't think any team that is a contender now is going to hire him because they're not going to sign up for the Torts experience. And he's now made it clear that he doesn't really want to coach a team that is tanking or losing and playing out the string. That pretty much just leaves teams that are talented and should be better.
What about a couple of teams that have taken a step backwards this year, but have already had the Torts experience? Like, would a team like Vancouver or a team like New York go back and double dip, knowing what they know about John Tortorella and what that whole experience brings?
I cannot imagine a world where he goes back to Vancouver. That was such a mess. He didn't even live in Vancouver. He lived in the United States, and he had to like travel across the border every day. That was just a disaster of a situation from the jump. New York, look, the Rangers do crazy things all the time, so I can't rule out that possibility. Vancouver, though, nothing would shock me more than him popping back up in Vancouver. That would blow me away.
It would be the best.
Yeah, the list of teams is just short. And I honestly, this made me realize, because I was also trying to think, like, where would he go? Maybe like Nashville, something like that. But I don't think that many teams are going to fire their coaches this year. I think that a lot of the teams that have done it in season. And teams that have done it with great success. Detroit does it, and they get their next actual guy. St. Louis does it, gets their next actual guy. Boston will be looking for a real solution there. I can't imagine Torts would be interested in that, but who knows? Maybe pride thing, come back home. That could maybe tie into it.
The power struggle between, if Neely and Sweeney are still there, the power struggle between Neely, Sweeney, and Torts would be it would be a disaster.
It would be a circus. And I do agree with you that, with both of you, that the talent isn't there to do it. And then after that, like Chicago, but that would be doing exactly what it would be, arriving where he kind of arrived in Philly, which is next step time, please. And I don't know if maybe he was just sick of it in that moment, because a lot of people, when they tire of jobs, they're like, you know what, I don't want to do anything like this ever again. But really, if you did a similar thing just with different people and a fresh coat of paint on it, you'll feel a little better. Mm-hmm. So maybe Chicago, but
I don't think so.
I don't know about all that.
Kirk in the chat says Anaheim. Like, Anaheim would be a very interesting one because they do have the talent. They're sort of rebuilding, but I think that that's a team that would fit the characteristics of a team that would be looking for a Torts type.
Torts, I'm firing my coach if I'm Anaheim.
Torts and Zegras seems like a match made in heaven, he said with heavy sarcasm.
Maybe it's what he needs, though.
I was going to say, I remember at the beginning of the season, Petey threw out the idea that maybe a guy like John Cooper would be approaching retirement. And if I know you're talking about like firings, but if someone like that decided they were done with it, maybe, or like a Paul Maurice if they won another Stanley Cup, that situation like that, I think.
And I mean, that would be the ultimate. That's a going back to an old team that I think all parties would be interested in. He went there, he won there. That's where my vision of John Tortorella still is the crazy Lightning coach. So yeah, won a cup there.
I know. I hadn't even considered the Cutter Gauthier of it all. If he went to Anaheim, that would be unbelievable. So that's my pick. I want him to co-coach the Ducks.
Oh, that would be the best. I'm not firing Cronin if I'm the Ducks.
There's been a lot of smoke around
Maybe
that whole situation.
Yeah, I feel like there's been smoke around that though forever.
Yeah.
It would be funny going the Ducks way. Like the Ducks are an old school team. They have that, like, you know, the people at the top like the Torts types. It would be funny though, given the fact that everything you hear about Cronin is that all the players hate him, and if they fire Cronin to bring in Tortorella, it's like, be careful what you wish for.
Honestly, though, that's like the perfect situation for Torts. It's like, the only way that I can be liked by my players is if I follow up a guy who is universally disliked by all the players.
He kept the seat warm for him.
That's right.
He got it all ready. Charlie, you are the best. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We know that this is going to be an extremely busy day for you. We will obviously continue to read you and follow you as we try to figure out what is going on with these Philadelphia Flyers. I have hope for the future, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
It's the great Charlie O'Connor of PHLY. And if you are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well very easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. I tell you about it every time I bring up Factor. This is my favorite thing to hit. The versatility. They cater to you. So if you are trying to maybe get a little stronger in the gym, trying to lift, trying to maybe do the more of the Chychrunian type of lifestyle, Protein Plus. You want to do keto? Factor Keto Meals. You want to maybe watch your figure, try to trim down a little bit? Calorie Smart. They have you covered with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It is so easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
If you're trying to take care of your health, take care of your body, you don't necessarily have to remove all the light bulbs from your house. You can perhaps consider Timeline, because Timeline sells health and longevity supplements that feature their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. MitoPure works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline, and those benefits include increased strength, increased energy, endurance, and they've got 15 plus years of research backing them and pushing them forward. The cells in your body are the building blocks of life, so you may as well take care of them to give you more energy, feel stronger during your workouts, preserve your health and mobility as you start to age. None of us want to get old and decrepit. We can stave off some of those effects by doing the right things with our bodies and taking care of the cells in your bodies. MitoPure helps you recharge those cells and helps your body systems work better, faster, stronger. Clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level.
Enough about MitoCure, though. Tell us about your DoCure.
MitoCure is to go right now to timeline.com/chaos to get started. And to get started, they're going to give you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Again, that's timeline.com/chaos to get started. One more time, timeline.com/chaos.
We do have breaking news.
Oh, boy.
Per one, Andre Torini, Hart candidate, Karel Vejmelka is making his 15th straight start.
Oh, my God.
Yes. We're hitting the Oilers Pro Shop today with carts, maybe. If they have Karel Vejmelka jerseys,
Custom.
yeah,
That would be... You should get stopped at the border.
I mean,
that's illegal.
I'll tell you what, Karel Vejmelka's got to start taking some MitoPure because his body is aging rapidly based off of how he's being used this season.
Well, Brogdon Houston tweeted a quote from Torini. He said, "There is no load management. We can't rest him so we can play golf in April. He's our best player since a while ago, and he's a big part of what we're doing. We're fighting for our life, and we believe in ourselves."
CC Vejmelka is what I call him. I'm talking about, I want to say the year would have been 2006. No, 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2007, we'll say. CC Sabathia on
the
Milwaukee Brewers. The
Yeah.
greatest deadline acquisition ever. Not the most consequential one, but the greatest deadline acquisition ever.
Yeah,
They
but
just said play every fucking game.
Yeah, but they have Vejmelka for beyond this year. The reason that it rocked with Sabathia was like, this is a rental, and we are going to squeeze every penny out of this rental as we possibly can.
It's like, I don't got to do it.
But
I can fuck this up a little bit.
Smoke them if you got them. And we don't know. Next year isn't promised.
I mean, contractually it is.
I'm saying to the earth.
True.
We could all die today, tomorrow.
So play on Saturday, Leon.
Yeah.
Vejmelka 15 games in a row. That rocks. What does it say about Nathan McKinnon's hard candidacy? It means that he has company. We will be at Greta downtown tonight. Doors at 6 p.m. Games, giveaways, including an exclusive What Chaos Edmonton-themed hat from Dishin. You are going to want to get your hands on that. It is $15, and I'm saying $15 to get in. That gets you in and gives you a chance to win a pair of tickets to BOA Saturday. How fun will that be? There's going to be, I know that Sean's going to be all over the bubble hockey. There's Papa Shot. Pete loves that.
Yep.
Boardsy was telling me, I've been to Greta a few times, but I didn't see this. They have tic-tac-toe basketball?
No. Connect Four.
Connect Four
They
basketball.
also have a tic-tac-toe thing, he said. But apparently they just renovated it.
What don't they have? It's going to be fantastic. $15 gets you in. We hope to see you there. Doors at 6 p.m. We have a couple of super chats. One from Windy City Hockey. I would be ticked off if the Hawks hire Torts. Respectfully, my friend, you are a Blackhawks fan. You should probably be ticked off for a little bit, no matter what, but we'll try to keep you happy. Stan S. says, shouts to Cece. Shouts to
Uke.
Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker.
Oh, Bob Uecker. Oh, yeah.
Just doing some Brewers chat.
Oh, okay. Just a little Brewers chat in the chat. Very good. Okay. The Oilers keep dying. Last night, Stu Skinner took a knee from Mikko Rantanen to the head. He left the game, is not with them for this Seattle game tonight. Who knows what his future is, but my biggest read on it is Mikko Rantanen's year is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I thought about that guy was that he is a top 3 winger in the NHL and that I would give him basically a blank check. There has been so much noise around this guy this year. He has been traded twice. He's almost been traded as many times as goals he has scored since leaving the Colorado Avalanche because he kind of ain't doing shit. And now he's just kneeing guys in the head. And it didn't look intentional. Don't want to do it, chat. But it's just funny that this motherfucker is in the middle of everything bad.
Yeah, he also got hit in the face with the puck earlier this week. Every Stars player is taking pucks to the face this year, which is crazy. But I don't think it was intentional. I think Rantanen's, though, like if we're talking about Rantanen's season, the defining storyline is the enemies per 60 that he is garnering.
Yes.
Because he spent the entire year like pissing off a bunch of different fan bases. And now like we're wondering, does he have more enemies than points?
Yes, I mean, enemies, and how many goals does he have? He has 4 goals, famously, since being traded. We looked it up yesterday. 4 goals since being traded from Colorado. So 2 goals for each team. And he scored in his debut for the Stars, and we thought, okay, he's back. No, he's not. He's kind of having a weird season. But he's got, I mean, if you want to do like fan bases, Avalanche.
I mean, the return to Colorado suggested that they're more appreciative than pissed.
I mean, it's worked out so well for them.
Definitely.
So they should be in the absolute best mood.
Yeah.
So that's that with Mikko Rantanen. Jeff Skinner took a stick to the face yesterday. No problem there. Zach Hyman, though, got his leg all twisted up, and we were watching on the plane with bad Wi-Fi, and that did not sound good. It did not look good. When he went down the tunnel, I was like, at least he's kind of walking down there. Dude's back in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the big takeaway here is that the Oilers got to just be healthy for the rest of the year. They can't have any more scary run-ins. The Connor, Leon, Hyman, Skinner, all of this has been just like too close for comfort heading into the playoffs here. We're a few weeks away from the playoffs. Just fucking enter in healthy. We spent yesterday talking about how much parity there is, how it's like anybody's playoff run. I don't want to see teams sucked off because of injuries like the Devils.
Exactly. And play-wise, I am totally cool with the Oilers right now. I typically don't get too high or too low during the regular season anyway, but all I really care about is health. I don't care about trophies. I don't care, just be healthy, because even without Draisaitl and McDavid, they've played well. The fact that I turned that game off at 4-0 last night, that I saw on Twitter people talking about like, oh, 1-goal game, and I was like, what are you fucking talking about? Ottinger was unbelievable.
He was awesome. Him and Robertson were great.
But like the Oilers played well for a lot of that game. They've been fine without McDavid and Draisaitl. So I'll say this though: we're seeing Draisaitl on Saturday. That guy gets on the ice for morning skate yesterday, sees that it's 4-0 at some point yesterday, and definitely has some fuck it, I'll just do it myself. We'll see him Saturday. So that's that, and we'll do Greta tonight, and you can talk about it with us. We'll be with the Oilers Nation crew. It is going to be the best. Let's do today in Jakob Chychrun, because he has sold his Tesla and replaced it with a G-Wagon. The quote from Jakob Chychrun: we actually bought a new car a few weeks ago. We had a Tesla for a while, but we wanted to get rid of that. We wanted to get rid of. We're pretty big, as you guys know. We talk about our health and wellness a lot. We just had a weird feeling about sitting on a battery all day in the car, so we wanted to get rid of the Tesla, move on from the electric, and I got my wife her dream car, which was a G-Wagon. Just might get a G-Wagon out of me, is what he said to his lovely bride, because he don't want his ass on a battery. That's a Drake lyric. Pete, how do you feel about this?
The whole thing was the Drake lyric, including the battery part.
Yes, exactly. And he actually got her a dog. They're going to take care of the G-Wagon until the G-Wagon days are over. How do you feel about, I don't know, about sitting on a battery all day long?
I mean, I understand it. I don't know if that's...
I never thought about it before.
I never thought about it, but I dislike the whole energy of this swap, because he goes from a Tesla to a G-Wagon. I want Jakob Chychrun to really commit to the bit. I want Jakob Chychrun to be showing up to the arena with like a fucking Fred Flintstone-ass car.
You should go like Ed Oliver and start riding horses to the arena.
Yes. Like
in Metro DC.
Fully really living off the land.
Yes. Right.
Fully living off the land. He's doing the raw meat. He's doing no light bulbs, candlelights only, beeswax, rides his horse to the fucking arena.
He's going to fuck up a zombie apocalypse. Like he's already built for it. No electricity, eat raw meat.
It's I don't know about that, because it's easy to do this shit when you're so rich.
Yeah, but if
can he do it with you take away his millions? Can he do it?
I mean, I guess,
because I'm sure he's having like prime meat delivered to him from like.
Well, no, he said yesterday he had to go to special butcher shops to do this. But the question is really, could he kill an animal with his bare hands?
Right.
But he doesn't have to worry about cooking it.
So he doesn't have to worry about cooking it, but like I wonder what the zombie apocalypse could look like for a guy who's doing this while very rich.
He'll be used to the no electricity at the very
My favorite part of this whole thing is like you go down further in the story and there's another quote and it says, "My wife and I are just big into living a clean, healthy life. We try to do a good job of not overspending. We're just pretty simple and homey people. We don't like to go crazy with our spending. We definitely have our months, but we try to do a good job."
Our months.
He just bought a G-Wagon. A G-Wagon costs like $150,000. He did not trade in the Tesla for like a Honda CRV.
Yeah, but it's his cheap month.
We have our months as if there's like lots of those. Like we have our months, so like a quarter of the year, you're just not being good about your money.
Yeah.
Do you think that he is crazy about investing and having his money make more money?
No, I think he puts his money in the walls.
Yes, yeah, I think it's more likely.
He's a Mr. Krabs kind of. Yeah, he keeps on the mattress.
He's got a lot of gold.
Definitely, he's definitely a gold. It's like the banks are going to collapse. He might. Be
I like this guy, man.
He might be a crypto guy.
I think those eating raw meat and liver and shit and like the raw milk, weird, not for me. If you want to do it, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. He seems to not be like pushing it on other people. He's just doing it for himself.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
I like that he's this weird, but I want him to really lean into it. The horse thing would kill me. I would love it.
Tokyo Sex Whale says that Chychrun eats the zombies in the zombie apocalypse. I would agree with that.
I will say it's hard to criticize him when he looks the way he does and plays a professional sport at the level he does. But everything he says is dumb as shit. There is no scientific evidence for like the battery thing, for example. There's like nothing he does is like scientifically based. He's just going off vibes and conspiracy theories, and it works for him. So like I said, too hard to criticize too hard.
So obvious question. Do we think he listens to Joe Rogan?
Yeah, absolutely. He donated.
Definitely.
He donated to RFK's campaign.
He listens to Joe Rogan.
He listens to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I think he's a Huberman guy. I think, but Huberman's like a science guy.
He's an RFK guy. He's a pseudoscience guy, and sometimes he lands ass backwards into like the right thing, like RFK. RFK is like, we should get phones out of schools, and everyone's like, yeah, and he's like, because batteries give you cancer, and it's like, well, that's just not true. So you're half right, and I guess I can give you credit for that.
I mean, at least I don't know if it's great behavior, but if you're going to be a conspiracy theorist guy, don't just ask the questions and say, did you know?
Live the life.
He lives the life.
Yeah, I do respect that.
I believe what you want to believe if you're not pushing it on other people.
Right.
And so I can't like, I'm not mad at him for it, but it is, I feel like, important to point out that everything he says is not true.
And I know he does like Instagram stories and whatnot, but like he's not like a quote unquote content creator when it comes to this stuff. Like he's not doing it for like weird attention. He's just doing it because he actually buys into it, which like I can respect that.
Like,
and he's not like lying about weird shit like the Liver King, where he's like, "This, I don't do steroids."
Yeah, I mean, it would be a very tough look if in a couple days we get a sussy for a PED suspension for Chychrun. Then you got.
If that happened though, I would be more on like, I'd be more apt to believe that he just like took some weird shit that he didn't know was illegal.
That's fair. The excuse that everyone gets.
Yeah,
he actually is probably going.
My big concern around Chychrun is that like, I've watched Better Call Saul. At what point does he really like go off the deep end? Become Chuck, and like, especially with all those beeswax scandals, we know how it ended for Chuck.
Yes, but that was a trigger warning. That was you said sussy. It starts with like, he was a Carson.
Somebody, Eileen said, I don't know, Dylan Strome seems sick of him and all this shit. I did want to bring up that part because he did acknowledge the Dylan Strome of it all. He said, Dylan Strome sewered me and now I'm dealing with all of that shit. So he's basically like, thanks a lot for throwing me under the bus.
Well, if it isn't the consequences, what is it? The consequences of my actions?
Yeah.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
But that's part of the thing that I was saying about like, he's not putting the shit out there as like a content creator and being like, look at me. He's kind of just trying to like live his own life and do his weird shit.
Of people asking him about it. Cause like, I don't think like when he was in Arizona, he was doing the raw liver and stuff like that. And I think byproduct of being in Arizona, it didn't get talked about too much because he didn't really talk about it.
The one thing that I will definitely say I'm on board with is just the natural light thing and the firelight thing. I would, if I were rich, if I could make it, I wouldn't do it all the time, but if I could make part of my existence winding down the days with candlelight instead, like if the home was just had a few candles going, I bet I would sleep like a baby. Right? He
said I've been sleeping like a baby. I'm pretty sure that's an exact quote.
It's been really nice sleeping like a baby.
So
maybe that's embedded in my head, but also it just makes sense. Don't you think? I mean, I do less Instagram on my phone at night now, and it fucking makes sense.
Well,
like my brain just kind of slowly gets off it a little bit, and then when it's time to rest, I rest, and then when it's time to sleep, I sleep. If you're doing that with just like it's dimly lit by candle, oh baby, I'm falling asleep thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in lights and like the lighting effect that lighting can have, like fluorescent lighting.
Flip that.
Yes.
I'm a light person, and I believe in the light that lights may give.
That's right. No,
that's very Rogan-esque.
Like the hertz or whatever of certain lighting, the circadian rhythm. I'm just butchering all of this.
What do you know about? Is it called Hatch?
No, I don't know what that is.
Like green chilies.
Our other travel partner has it's like $150. It's this alarm thing that wakes you up naturally.
Oh yeah, Ellen has that.
Instead of setting off a thing. Yeah, and it just does like slow. Just kind of like eases you back in.
We're a big light household, and I've had to like battle with Ellen over lights. Where
Let me ask you about this.
I don't do overhead light. I don't like overhead lights. I like small table lamps and things like that. All across soft lighting. Soft lighting is
best
I
way to light
go
a
on
room
walks
is a
in my
Christmas
neighborhood and I see so many houses that just have like harsh lighting, and it's like, how do you live like that?
Well, I was going to say it's funny for Chychrun because he spends, like, when he works, it's in like the most fluorescently lit environment you can possibly get.
Well, that was the portion that I wanted to bring up too, is that like Jakob Chychrun now has to absolutely guarantee that the Capitals get out of like the first 1 or 2 rounds of the playoffs, because he is opening himself up to so many "the lights were too bright" jokes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Fair. I thought you were going to say that like people are going to be on him for like, oh, well, the less stuff about liver and defending.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that not every market is Boston. I was even, because like if he played in Boston and they lost in the first round and he had a bad play or something, they would spend so much time on the radio talking about like how his priorities are out of whack. When Jeremy Swayman was in his contract dispute,
that's so true.
Amazon thing came out and he's playing guitar. Like, oh, so he's playing guitar, but he can't. Like, yeah, like the guy, he also takes a shit at some point during the day. Like, he like, does other things, and just not every market is like that. So hopefully people go easy on him, but. I mean, I'm fascinated by all this. Good man, though, on the no overhead light.
Yeah.
I did not know that you were about that life. That's been something that has been that I have been taught. And we're actually going to cover up. There's a light switch. It only it's in the way of where I want to put a TV, and we'd have to just get rid of the light switch. I don't fucking do it, because the light switch, all it controls is the overhead light. Don't need that shit anyway.
Fuck overhead lights.
Fuck overhead lights. Jakob Chychrun said that, and that is on God. So yeah, I think this has been a big week for him. Obviously, big money, learning a lot about him, but I like most of it.
I think we've talked about him
Sean
more
seems to be
this
like,
week.
Yeah, but like he's fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like when people platform stupid ideas, especially when most people are probably dumber and less rich than he is.
There's a thin blue line between genius and insanity.
Yes, and I think he loves being right on top of the thin blue line.
Okay, that would track. Let's do a slate grade. Ooh, an exciting night of hockey indeed. We have, what do we have, 10 games? Yes, we have 10 games. Beginning, Penguins at Sabres at 7 p.m. Eastern Canadian. That is, of course, a Tim Horton Bowl.
I did not know Tim Horton played for the Penguins.
Got to do a little Tim Horton Bowl. Senators at Red Wings, 7 p.m. Eastern Canadian. That is, of course, a Marian Hossa Bowl. Always love those. Utah Hockey Club at Lightning, 7 p.m. A Mikhail Sergachev revenge game. But how about an Ian Cole Bowl, Pete?
No.
How do you like that?
Don't.
How do you want you to stick that in your blunt and smoke
Not
it?
interested.
Canadians at Flyers at 7 p.m. That is, of course, a Mark Recchi Bowl. The Capitals at Wild, 7:30 p.m. Eastern in Canada. First of all, that's just a good one. Got to see how the Wild play the Capitals. We talk all the time about they play good teams closely. Capitals just played the Jets. They've got some tough opponents here in this stretch of the schedule. This is where you're going to go.
It's a Marcus Johansson Bowl.
Oh, good. I was going to say Darcy Kemper, but it is too a Marcus Johansson Bowl. Blues at Predators. That is at 8 p.m. Canadian.
Of course.
What's that?
It's of course.
Oh yes, that's what's our guy Ryan O'Reilly?
Correct.
The legend.
Speaking of Tim
actually, it's a Marcus Johansson revenge game.
The Capitals and Wild?
Capitals and Wild, yeah.
Damn. Stars at Flames is at 8 p.m. Eastern in Canada. That is a Chris Tanev Bowl.
I feel like, I don't know if you guys heard my Tim Hortons joke.
Oh, what'd you say?
You said Ryan O'Reilly Bowl.
Oh.
Speaking of Tim Hortons.
Nice, not bad.
Nice. Tim Hortons
that was definitely worth bringing to our attention. Good work, Sean.
That's one of those things where, like, we didn't hear it because we didn't laugh.
Yeah.
Like,
I knew you would have at least acknowledged it.
Yeah. At 10 p.m. Eastern in Canada, we've got the Kings and the Avalanche. That is a Jerome McGinley Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
At 10 p.m. Eastern in Canada, but also 8 p.m. Mountain in Canada, and being shown on the big projector and all the TVs at Greta is the Oilers at the Kraken. That is a Jordan Eberle Bowl, of course. And
Kyler Yamamoto Bowl.
Kyler Yamamoto Bowl. How could we forget?
Kyler Yamamoto called up from AHL Tucson Roadrunners. as a depth move for the Utah Hockey Club, by the way.
Ooh, I get to, actually, Apollonius right now. No, it wasn't. He was on the Bruins in between. Well, actually, Apollonius. Marcus Johansson had 2 stints with the Washington Capitals, and then he went from the Washington Capitals to the Minnesota Wild, where he currently plays. That is a Marcus Johansson revenge game, my friend.
Ooh, Pete just doing
well. Actually, the fuck out of you.
Pete
get cooked.
Yeah, I was going to say Pete doing what Jakob Chychrun never would. Cooking.
That's right.
Jakob Chychrun doesn't cook the meat. Maple Leafs at Sharks, tucking us in at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And when I see Maple Leafs and Sharks, I'll always think of one name. Who are you thinking of?
Marlowe?
Patrick Marlowe.
Coach Cece.
Oh! How could I not? Shout out CC Dry on Twitter. Went to the game last night with a Goaty CC sign. It was a well-made sign with a goat on it. Love my weird Oilers Twitter. Goaty CC. All right, that's tucking us in. I don't hate that tuck at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, but as we are Mountain, we're not getting tucked by anything.
No, you get tucked at a reasonable time.
Yeah, like you can be tucked at any time. You can have a 7 o'clock tuck, but...
Well, it's like saying you can have breakfast for dinner. Like, it still doesn't really make it.
But I mean, this is
the definition of the tuck is the last game.
The game is going to end at like 11 p.m. local time. That's a good time to go to bed instead of 1 a.m.
That's true.
Well, I hate late games on the East Coast so much.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I love late games.
Hate it. Not if I want to actually watch the game.
Oh no, those are the games that I watch like the closest because there's nothing else going on.
Yes.
But, except for me wanting to go to bed.
Well, that's a skill difference.
That's a love of the game difference.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete's
skill issue, brother.
Pete doesn't think about what he wants. He knows what he needs.
I'm not saying I don't stay up to watch them. I'm saying I don't want to.
Okay.
I would say that makes me love the game even more because I'm doing it even though I don't want to. You're just doing something you like.
Do we have a rebuttal from Apollonius?
He said, I think he just said, fuck me.
So,
word. All right.
Somebody said death by actually.
Vezin Olevsky says, hype for Sergei Revenge game and Max 1000th. Is that right? Max 1000?
McKinnon?
Which is that?
Did he already have his 1000th game? Or 1000th point or whatever it was?
Game, but I would assume, let's see, Nathan McKinnon.
I mean, Sergachev revenge game, hell yeah.
But
what's the McKinnon situation?
He has 1,006 points, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, maybe they're celebrating it?
Maybe.
Kings at Avalanche, I believe.
I mean, they already did the gold stick thing. I saw that like a week ago or so. I don't know, but thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciate it.
Far be it from us to discuss Nathan McKinnon on this show. We are if you want more of us, we are going to be doing Oilers Nation every day. What's that?
McDonough.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and I was very confused, and now we are no longer. Thank you for the clarification, Sean. We're going to be on Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk and Liam Horrobin, and I hope everyone has checked out that show at some point. Sean was on it this week. It's a great program. We're going to be doing that today. Then we are going to go do Pro Shop Wars. And after that, we will be at Greta, 6 p.m. It's going to be a blast. If you are watching for the first time, of course, please make sure you are subscribed across all channels. And check out our YouTube because we have Utah Hockey Club Pro Shop Wars up now. It's a long one. It's a meaty one. But it is great. The footage that Sean got of us getting the jerseys, especially trying to find Pete's jersey in his size, was amazing because we're running around frantic. Sean ends up being the one that finds it. The camera's shaky. We're running
Blair
around
Witch
trying
Project.
to find each other. What's that?
Blair Witch Project vibes.
Blair Witch vibes. It's amazing. So check that out.
Hell yeah.
Pete, you have anything you want to tell them?
I would love to tell the people, if you are here, please like the video. It's a thumbs up button right below the video player. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet as well. We'll take your sport anywhere you can give it, whether you're on audio, whether you're on social media, any of those fine places. Please turn on your light bulbs and find us. Find us wherever you can and support the show. If you are in Edmonton, please come to Greta tonight and on Saturday for the BOA. Like it's gonna be an awesome time. So we will see you there, and we will see you on Monday, but probably before then. Bye.
Yeah, you're gonna hear from us. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.